Deal Surgeons, Elite Masterminds, what's going on? This is Diamond Life, and welcome to the Trader Psychology Series podcast. Appreciate you guys listening in. I haven't made a podcast in a while because I just don't make these randomly. It really has to be something that's on my mind. It really has to be something that I really can speak to, okay? Because this whole podcast is about energy, okay? I want to know what would it look like if I actually created a podcast where I actually was doing what I was talking about, not just talking in theory, which is what a lot of people do. Okay, which is what I did in previous YouTube channels, talking in theory versus actually living this stuff day in and day out. Now, I want to talk about the name of this podcast here, and it's going to get a little controversial. I need you to listen in closely. Listen in closely what I'm about to tell you. The name of this podcast is, Are You a God or Are You a Bitch? I'm going to repeat that. Are you a God or are you a bitch? This applies to men and women. So what I mean by this, listen, just because you're putting all the work in, just because you're grinding every night, just because you're blood, sweat, and tears, you're putting your all into it. You listen to this podcast, you listen to ICT, you listen to whoever you learn from, and they like, you got to put your all into it. You got to do it all. You got to sacrifice everything, family members, time, things that you love, and you're doing all this stuff. You're sacrificing. You're cutting people off. You stop going to the gym. You stop doing this. You stop doing that. And you like, you know what? If I do all these things, maybe, at some point I'm going to learn the market. I'm going to have my Neo in the Matrix moment, like Diamond Life talk about. And it's all going to work out and I'm going to be rich, or I'm going to be able to leave my job and it's all going to work out. Why? Because I'm sacrificing. Because why is it going to work out for me? Because I put in all this work and I see how the markets really work now. I got it now. I have my matrix moment. I see exactly how these markets move. I know exactly how this shit works now. It's not a game anymore. I see exactly how the markets move now. Yeah, it's really about to work out for me now. I done been sacrificing. I've treated this like my life depended on it, like I'm willing to die for it, for real. And all that's great. Let me actually clap for you real quick. Hold on. Congratulations. I'm happy for you. But here's what I want to ask you. Make sure you listen in closely. What the fuck are you going to do if the shit does not go the way you plan? What do I mean by that? What the fuck are you going to do when you know exactly how the markets work? You did all this sacrificing for years and this shit still don't work. It still don't work the way you want to. Then what are you going to do? Listen to what I just said. Listen to what I just said, because some of you don't think this is going to happen to you, or you don't think this is possible for you. Yes, there are people out there who have sacrificed everything in life for trading. Know exactly how the markets move, understand when it hit an order block is going to go down to a breaker and all that. But guess what? They still can't make it work, even after they understand how it works. Yes, this is possible. Because see, somebody need to tell your ass this. Because you think just because you learn ICT, just because you learn Q banks, just because you learn Roger Banks or whoever, you think just because you sacrifice and spending all your time learning the videos, doing all this back testing, you think that just because you understand how the markets work and you get real cocky and stuff, you can predict price and all that, which you can. And I'm congratulations for that. But you think just because you know that means that it's going to work for you. That don't mean that. You got people out there right now that literally know how the markets work, just like ICT. And guess what? They still can't make money every week. Yes, I said that. You need to understand that this is a psychology game. I remember people tried to tell me this in the beginning. I didn't want to listen. I was like, no, fuck all that. All I need to do is understand how the markets work, study ICT like my life depended on it, and then it's just going to work for me. And guess what? It didn't work like that. It was a little while where I was going through where I didn't understand why I couldn't make it work every single week. Even though I knew exactly what price would go, I still wouldn't take the trade. Why? Because I had huge losses in the past thinking I understood something and I didn't. So what I'm trying to tell you, are you a god or are you a bitch? Because what are you going to do then when you're studying the markets like your life depends on it? You understand how the markets work and you still can't make money. What are you going to do then? What are you going to do? Let me tell you what the bitch would do. The bitch in you. Because you got a god in you, you got a bitch in you. The bitch is going to say, man, I put in all this work. I studied, I sacrificed, I did all this, man. I put my life on the line. You know, I put all my last dollar in it and I still lost and I never gave up. And man, it's still not working for me, man. This is fucked up. This is messed up, man. Man, why? And then your ass probably gonna quit or go try to do something else. But guess what? If your life really depended on it, if you really was sold out for trading, it ain't no retreat. No retreat. You like the conquistadors. When they pulled up on the Aztecs, it was like 300 of them, and it was 3 million Aztecs. They burned all them fucking ships and said they rode on the ships over there. The conquistadors, I don't know the whole story exactly. Somebody listening to this may know it more than me, but it was like, what, 3,000 conquistadors rode up on the Aztecs, and it was like 1 million of them, and it was only like 3,000 conquistadors. Guess what they did? They said, burn all the goddamn ships. And the guys was getting mad, like, what the hell are you doing? You burning all the ships? How are we gonna get back home? Guess what he said? The leader said, well, we gotta fucking win now because we have no way to get back home. So we have to win and take the boats from the Aztecs so we can get back home. And somehow these people was able to beat and kill all those people or take all of them over and conquer that land. And it was only like 3,000 of them. It was like 1 million Aztecs. So however the story go, that's kind of the gist of it. So what I'm trying to say is if you're a bitch, you're going to retreat. You're going to start doing real estate. You're going to start doing internet marketing. You're going to start doing all other kinds of shit because you see that trading is not working for you. Even though you understand how order block works, even though you understand where price is going, you still won't take the trade. Or you'll take the trade and it'll be so small where you can't even make enough money to really see an impact in your life. That's what the bitch is going to do inside of you. Because the God and the bitch, they both exist. I'm trying to tell you what I know. Just because you're learning ICT and you're studying like your life depends on it, you're doing a whole lot of back tests and you see it working, don't mean that you're about to leave your job and start making a lot of money. Trust me when I tell you this. It's going to be a period that you go through that nobody talks about, by the way. Nobody talks about this. All they talk about is, learn all this stuff. You know, once you start back testing, you're going to get your strategy and then your strategy is going to start working. You're going to leave your job. You're going to buy all these cars. You're going to do all this traveling and live your life. It's not true. The period they don't talk about is the period where you're fucking confused because you understand how this shit works, but you still can't make money every week. Okay? The bitch in you will feel like you deserve something just because you put in all this work. Motherfucker, you don't deserve nothing. You don't deserve nothing that you can't create. I'm going to repeat that. You don't deserve anything that you cannot create. Yes, I understand you put in all this work. Yes, I'm talking directly to you. I understand you put in all this work. I understand you've been sacrificed. I understand you left your girlfriend or your boyfriend. I understand you stopped going to the gym. Okay, I understand you stopped hanging out with these friends. I understand you cut off this family member. Okay, I understand you had to downsize your car. You had to downsize your apartment. You probably had to lose the car so you can use that money that you was paying for that car note. Now you've been putting that money in trading. I get it. I understand the sacrifice. I respect it. I respect the fuck out of it, man. Big time. All I'm trying to tell you is that don't get to the point where you bitch out and be like, man, I think I put in all that work and it still can't work for me. I understand how the markets work and it still can't work for me. You don't deserve anything. You don't deserve anything that you cannot create, man. You have to still go out there and create it. I'm just trying to tell you, this is something that people don't talk about. All they talk about is do all this learning. You're going to get this strategy and your life going to change. You're going to make all this money. It's not true at all for everybody. Some people go through an experience where they're confused why they can't make it work every week, even though they understand how it works. Or they confused why they can't get enough money to put into the market to make a big significant difference in their life. Or maybe they're trying to raise money and nobody believes in them, even though they're showing them a strategy that works every week. Are you a God? Are you a bitch? Let me tell you what the God would do. Yeah. Let me get close to the mic now because you're talking to a God. Let me tell you what the God would do. Listen closely. The God is going to say, you know what? Yes, this is frustrating. Yes, this is humiliating. Yes, I do want to bitch out sometimes. But guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to continue to trade whatever money I have. And I'm going to continue to go because this is life or death. And even if it takes me another year or two, even though I understand how this stuff works, even though I thought I would be at a different place right now, having all this knowledge, the God in me says, no, I'm going to continue to press forward every single day, no matter what it takes. Whether I have to back test more, whether I have to do more presentations to raise money, whether I have to go get a side job to get some more extra money or not. Remember, I said a side job, or or you may have to go out there and just do something to get $500 or $1,000. That don't mean you're retreating. You're not retreating, because retreating is like, man, trading is too hard. I'm about to go do Amazon FBA, or I'm about to go join an MLM. The God in you says, you know what? I said I was in this thing for life or death, and I'm still alive. So I'm going to choose to do this every single day. I'm just going to keep back testing my strategy, and I ain't never giving up ever. And I'm never going to bitch out, which means that I'm never going to wake up and be a victim like, man, this should be happening for me already. I did all that work and it still didn't work out. Think about how weak that is. Because that's what some of you are doing right now. I put in all that work, man, and the move still don't work. It didn't work out this time. No, that's the bitch in you, man. Are you a bitch or are you a God? The God in you understands that, you know what? I'm a God. So you see your strategy, you see your move working out. All you got to do is just keep back testing that strategy and you'll come up with the money. It'll be attracted to you. The universe see what you're doing. It's creating an opportunity right now for that money to come to you, because that's what happened with me. The universe created an opportunity where the money came to me, where I was able to invest and see bigger, significant profits. But you have to live with that God inside of you. It's going to be the God and the bitch inside of you fighting for each other's attention. You have to make sure that the God in you is winning, man. You have to make sure the God in you is rising up over the bitch. Even when you understand how the market's working, you still take a big loss, and then now you're really confused. But you have to understand that this is not random. You have to go back, and you cannot make another trade until you figure out why you lost. Yes, I know how it feels. Like, you're just like, no, I just want to go in and get this loss back. Like ICT says, you have to stop. You have to stop, and you have to go back. And trust me, I don't even want to do this sometimes, but I understand that's a foolish move. That's a fool's way to do this stuff if they don't want to go back and see why they lost. So I hope you really listen to this podcast, man. I'm glad it wasn't that long. I'm trying to keep it around 12 minutes or so. But you have to understand, man, are you a God or are you a bitch? For real. And all I'm saying is, just rehashing this, is that people don't want to talk about this. This is why I was telling somebody recently. I was like, look, people don't want to pick one thing that they focus on for years. You want to know why? Because of this whole podcast I just talked about. People fear putting in all that work and it's still not working for them the way they want to. So they're like, why even fucking try? Why even fucking try when I have the possibility of doing all that work and me being in the same spot or even worse? And guess what? That is absolutely true, that could happen. But you know what I told that person? I said, guess what? Who's better off though? Who's better off really? The person who never gave it a shot because that possibly could happen to them? Or the person 2 years later, 3 years later, working on this thing every single day, all day, and it's still not working, and them being even in a worse spot in life? Who's better off though, really? Now the other person, person A, remember, they thought about it. They said, you know what, I'm just gonna stay on my job. I'm not gonna put in all that work. I'm not gonna focus on one thing, because guess what? I could do all that work and it could not happen. I could lose my car. I could lose my house and be in a worse situation, putting in all that work. So I'm not even gonna do it, because the possibility of failure is just too much for me to handle. And I understand that. That makes a lot of sense. Then you got person B who says, you know what, fuck this shit. I'm about to focus on one thing and one thing only. I don't give a fuck about anything else. If anybody ain't with the plan, they got to go. I don't care if I'm on the street or if I'm in a high-rise apartment in Dubai. I'm going to do this every single day until I make it work, period. I'm sorry. That's just where I'm at right now. And let's say 3 years later, 2 years later, you look at person B and they're in a worse situation in life because it hasn't worked out for them, but they've been learning something every single day, working on one thing every single day. What I want to ask you is, before I let you go, who's better off? Person A, who never made the decision because they saw the possibility of failure, and they're like, you know what? I'm not going to do anything because that could possibly happen to me, so I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to focus on my job and, talk to people about being successful and, making something work, and living with the story of potential. Then you got person B, who put in all that work and it just didn't happen at that time, at year 2 or year 3. What I want to ask you is, who's better off to actually achieving the goal in the future? Who? Person A or person B? Person B. Yes, it did not work within those 2 years. Yes, it did not work in the 3 years like they thought. Yes, it does hurt when you do something like that. when you put your all into it and you still don't get the result in the time that you thought you would get it in. But what I want to ask you is, who's better off? Who's better off? Who's that? What's the probability? Who has a better probability of achieving that dream life? Person A or person B? It's person B. So this is Diamond Life. Appreciate you guys listening in. And just remember that you're a champion because you choose to be. Be great.